everybody. Welcome to Conference Week 2014 fourth event, which is a country focus and marketplace in collaboration with International Student Association. So last year I was involved with ISA, and I was really impressed by the new program, which is the country focus. I really like how we choose in one country, and it opens up new perspective about a place, learning about the culture and what's going on there. So when we thought about doing a country focus event for Conference Week this year, we didn't think twice. We just thought of working with ISA because they've been doing such a great job in talking about different places and getting people to know about them.
So I'm just going to say a little bit about Countries in Focus for those of you who might not have been to an event with us. It started last year with the ISA, and the aim of Countries in Focus is really just to highlight and showcase a country that is underrepresented. And I think, after we've been doing lots of countries, I think we've done about 6 countries now, I realized that every country, whether you know about it or don't know about it, every country is underrepresented in its own way. So it's a really good chance to explore different aspects and different themes that are really, that are just relevant in every discipline. So we're really excited to collaborate. And it's cool. We started talking about this 2 months ago, and then now we're here, and it's all starting, it's all becoming real. So thank you so much for collaborating with us, and it's very meaningful for us. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you guys all so much for being here and for being involved in the story of Conference Week and the story of International Students Association and Africa Awareness Initiative. And so my name is Mercedes.
I'm Joan.
Yeah, I'm Nelly.
Just for those of you who don't know us. And the country that we chose for this evening's Country in Focus is Rwanda, as you know. So as we were talking about, how do we even go about that process of choosing one country out of the many, many, many countries that exist in the world, but also in the African continent, we went around in our team and said, what is a place that we're all very interested to learn more about? And Rwanda was a place that came up. And so some of us have been there, some of us are from there, and all of us are really, really interested in learning more about this beautiful country and its people, its customs, its cultures, traditions, history, future. And so welcome to the Country in Focus in Rwanda, and thank you for being with us on that journey.
And we'll have the marketplace and the food served at the Marine Drive Ballroom, so everybody can walk down there. The food will be there. We'll have food from Rwanda, brochettes, plantains, and a lot of other interesting things. And we'll have our African marketplace selling crafts and arts from Africa, straight from Africa.
So we really hope you enjoy everything, and just keep an open mind, and we hope you learned something new from tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So before we get into all that, I believe we shall begin with the Rwandese national anthem. All right. So if you guys look on your fact sheets, you've got the national anthem. So we shall begin with the national anthem of Rwanda. It's up to you if you'd like to sing. It is in Kinyarwanda, and the translation is in English. It's up to you if you'd like to sing, but please follow along as we honor the national anthem of Rwanda. Everybody please stand.
Para
That's the national anthem of Rwanda. Everybody please be seated. All right.
And I'm going to do the
The
welcome.
greetings. So just, all right. So, now here's a couple quick little facts about Rwanda, as this thing decides to load. So Rwanda is situated in eastern and central Africa, all right? And it's bordered by Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. So we've got a lovely Rwandese lady right here, Miss Ariel Uwankunda, who shall teach you a couple of the greetings in Kinyarwanda. So I want you to turn to the person next to you and try this, okay? All right? So everybody look to the person next to you, and then we shall go through some of the basic greetings. So Ariel, please teach everybody how to say hello.
Hello. So, it's a very difficult language, even as we're not professionals. So, first gonna go step by steps. So, hello, or we use it also for good morning, and it's mga, ra, mu, se.
So everybody, let's go. Mwa, ra, mu, se. So turn to the person next to you and give it a try. All right.
In its true meaning, ngaramutse means. Okay, so ngaramutse, if you have translated in English, it means were you able to wake up. So you can also add amahoro, which is peace. So it's gonna be like were you able to wake up in peace. So after that, we have good afternoon. We really don't know when they use it because they can use it at noon, at 5 p.m., at 12 p.m., so yeah. But we use it anyways. So it's niriwe. So, and then we have good evening is muramukeho, which means are you able to wake up the next morning. And then have a nice good night, umugoroba, which is night. Then miza, which is like a beautiful night. So welcome, which is murakaza neza. And then bye, I'll tell you at the end, which is murabeho.
So those are some of the basic greetings in Kenya, Rwanda. All right. So, all right. Let's hear you guys say hello. All right. How about good evening? Okay. No. Let's try that one again. All right. So, Ariel, how do you say good evening?
Muramukeho.
Muramukeho. All right. And umugoroba mwiza means
Have a beautiful night.
have a beautiful night.
You can tell us your girlfriend next time.
Or your boyfriend too, depending on which one you have, right? So, okay, let's try it one more time. So, good evening. How do you say good evening? Okay, that's a bit better. That's a bit better. All right. So let's move on to the next little part of our evening. So, let's see. Voila. Let's do this. Right, I'm waiting for this thing to move to the next slide. But Rwanda is known as the land of 1,000 hills. Right? So I figured I'd show a small little slide presentation of different images from Rwanda. And these images were taken by the lovely Mercedes Maguire on her trip to Rwanda. So please have a look at some of the images that capture the beauty of the landscape of this land of 1,000 hills. Right? Actually, could somebody dim the lights at the back? Would somebody be so nice as to dim the lights at the back? So you can see someone.
press one of the numbers. So any one of the numbers, like 2 or 3.
There we go. So as you can see, lots and lots of hills. So this is definitely the land of 1,000 hills. Now this is our last image, and that concludes our initial introduction for the night. Now let's break off into our groups and move on to the other section of the evening. So, group number 1 will stay in here in the media center, and we shall talk about the economy in here. Okay? Group number 3 is going to go into the resource center, right? And you guys are going to talk about culture. Group number 2, you're going to start off with the lounge area, where they're going to talk about politics and governance. So everybody in group 1, can you please stay here? Please keep yourselves over here.
If you still don't have a number, you can come over here.
Yes. Yes. Has everybody not been assigned a number? Or who's still yet to receive a number? 1, 2, 3. Or can you please speak with Joan, and she will give you a group number? Has anybody else not been given a group number? Yeah. All right. All right. So everybody, let's break ourselves up. So group number 1 stays here. Group number 3. Group number 3, into the resource center. All right, group number 3.
Welcome again.
No, that's, yeah, Murakaza Neza is welcome. Yep. So, group number 3 is in here. And group number 2. All right, which group are you?
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you get a group number from Joan, because it's important that you have a group. So, hello. Oh, you like it? Got it from Zim. No, of course. On South African time, isn't it? No worries. But, come enjoy the night. Hopefully you guys learn a thing or two, so we're going to break off into our different groups. Have you guys been given a group by Joan yet? She's got... Okay. Because some groups have more people than others, so... All right. This is how it's going to work. So, come and check it out, y'all. It should be a fun night. This guy's finally back. This one. You're finally back. This one. You decided to come back. Good. What's the word? I'm alive, bro.
You doing good?
Yep. Hey, please make sure you come over here and you're given a group number. Sure. Alright, I hope these group numbers, because I feel like people are trickling in, so the groups are a bit skewed. But balance or not, okay. Okay. Alright, yep. Then we need to get moving. Which group are you in? Yep, guys, we need to get breaking off into our groups. So, which group are you in? Have you been given a group yet? Come this way, and then let's give you a group. Alright, let's assign him a group. You say here? Okay, so group 1. Alright, this is group 1. Alright, you can go and check. I think. Alright. So, alright, this is politics and governance. Economics is me. It's in here. No, you'll get your chance to come. Don't worry. All right, so, John? Okay. All right. So, I'm about to close these doors. No, go to your group so that way you can move. Okay, fine. You'll get your chance. Each person's gonna get a chance. It's rotating. Yes. All right, let's do. It's good. I'm alive, guy. I'm alive. All right, so let's dim the lights back here. These lights are open. Okay, yeah, you're right. All right. All right, so my group number 1 people. Awesome. All right, so. All right, let's see. All right. All right, everybody. All right, so this is the economy section. So this section is meant to give you an insight into some of the progresses that have been made in Rwanda's economy. All right, so Rwanda has, since coming off the back of the 1994 genocide, Rwanda has had phenomenal growth in a very short space of time. So in 20 years, they've achieved many things that take a lot of countries 40, 50 years. Under the stewardship of President Paul Kagame, right, Rwanda is currently growing at 8%. And is currently one of the hubs for East African investment. One of the things that you'd be curious to know is that in such a short space of time, Rwanda is second behind Mauritius and South Africa on the World Bank Doing Business Index, which is a global index that measures countries and the ease of starting a business and conducting business in that country. So Rwanda is at number 32 on that list out of 174 countries, which is pretty good, right? That's a very notable achievement. And another interesting thing, which came up in the fact sheets that you guys received, right, is the finance minister from Rwanda is a UBC alumni. Claver Gatete studied agricultural economics here at UBC. He graduated in 1991 with a Bachelor of Science in Agricultural Economics, and in 1993 with a Master's of Science in Agricultural Economics. So he's also the former governor of the National Bank of Rwanda. So UBC right here is making an impact in Rwanda as we speak. So here's a little video that I think encapsulates a lot of what Rwanda has done, and it gives a lot of the details of what's been done in this time. So I hope you enjoy.
Rwanda's restructuring in the way business is conducted has been key towards its economic prosperity, be it through registration of businesses, zero tolerance to corruption, or even regulatory policies. Lois Washira brings us more insights on the Rwandan business environment.
Under the leadership of President Paul Kagame, Rwanda has made unprecedented socio-economic and political progress and consolidated peace, stability, as well as social cohesion among Rwandans, becoming one of the most sought-after investment destinations in East Africa.
The Rwandan economy, basically in 1995, after the genocide, it had declined by 50%, and inflation was at 65%. That was a very, very tough period, where Rwanda, after genocide, had lost its own capacity in terms of people. It had no revenues, and it had no institutions. But then, after that, there was a period, basically from emergency period to rehabilitation period, and now to sustainable development period. During the rehabilitation and development period, that's when most of the institutions that were never existed in the country were put in place, including the Rwanda Revenue Authority, including the National Tender Board, the Ombudsman, the Unitary Reconciliation Commission, and so many others, including the Office of Auditor General. Those were...
FYI, that is the finance minister that I was referencing when I was talking about. So he's the UBC grad, and he's the one currently in charge of Rwanda's economic recovery. So
put in place during that period to complement the functioning of the government. Now we are no longer talking about the economy declining by 50%. Now we are talking about the economy increasing last year by 8.6%. We had a target of 7%, but we achieved 8.6% despite the terrible situation in the global economic environment.
I think the main reason the government of Rwanda succeeded so enormously in improving its doing business ranking is because there was tremendous political will and commitment all the way through government, including at the level of the president. In addition, it's important to recognize that two other factors make Rwanda a relatively good place to do business. First of all, there has been very strong macroeconomic performance as well. There's been strong growth. Inflation has been contained. Even during 2011, when there was relatively high inflation in the East African community because of food and fuel prices internationally, Rwanda maintained a lower inflation rate than all of its neighbors. Beyond that, it's managed its debt fairly well, and it's kept a relatively stable exchange rate.
This repositioning can be largely attributed to the government's efforts to work towards eradicating poverty and creating economic prosperity. By implementing a transparent governance system and improving on accountability, Rwanda is now placed third in Africa and Mauritius on the World Bank's 2012 Ease of Doing Business report.
The government's doing many things. The doing business indicators measure such things as the time and expense it takes to start a business, the quality of the regulatory environment, the ease of accessing credit, the ability to trade goods across borders, the quality of judicial processes. And Rwanda has made striking improvements in all of those areas. And because its doing business ranking improved so enormously in such a short period of time, the government really put Rwanda on the map as a place to do business.
In terms of the fastest growing sectors that have really driven this growth potential, in most recent years has been construction. Wholesale and retail trade has also exhibited strong growth, as well as agriculture. They benefit from the fact that they're not as close to the east coast as Kenya is. As you know, Kenya experiences volatile weather. So if you look at the inflation number, for instance, it's been in the single digits, at least urban inflation, over the past 12 months. And the main reason is because food production has been significantly strong.
We've achieved a lot so far. If you look at the rankings, both for the doing business, the global competitiveness, you can see where we came from and where we are today. It's simply because we've put a lot of efforts in reforming our business environment. I just want to say that we will continue. We want, because we believe there are still reforms that need to be made to be able to keep attracting the best investments from as many countries as possible. And we want to take this opportunity to encourage people, investors, to come to Rwanda and take advantage of all these reforms we are making, but most importantly, take advantage of the opportunities, investment opportunities that we have in different sectors.
These reforms have also led to increased foreign direct investments, as the country is perceived to be less corrupt than some of its African counterparts. The ease of doing business, registration and licensing processes in the country also assist in speeding up the rate of return on capital investments made.
I think Rwanda is a very easy place to do business, and whatever process you're going through, you find that it is normally very easy. We started off the process in March, and we managed to get listed, fully completed, ring the bell by 1st of September. That is remarkable by any standards, especially within East Africa. And we were lucky that we managed to get over 300% subscription.
Rwanda is, or is actually one of the most attractive places of doing business in the world. And this has been shown by so many reports. And you also need to know that there is this almost zero corruption environment, which is making actually business to grow so fast because there's no big constraint here. And there is almost zero formalities for companies to come into Rwanda and open the shop in the next 2 or 3 hours when they are here.
Despite being landlocked, its geographic location does not limit the vast opportunities it has to offer.
Our geographical position is such that we are surrounded by a lot of big guys, right? I mean, we have big neighbor to the west, DRC, that has a lot of minerals and a lot of natural resources. We have Kenya and Uganda that, are part of slightly bigger economies. We have Tanzania that has natural resources as well. So we need to be outstanding. Now, the best way to be outstanding is to make the Rwandan experience memorable. And this is why our vision is to be a service-based economy. Is when you come to Rwanda, from the time you get off the plane, this has to be a different experience. And if you're coming for business, it has to be an easy experience. And the idea is that if we're easy and good enough, people will take a second look at the country and say, maybe there's something here that we're not seeing at first sight. And that comes from the customer care, that comes from, if you want to register a business, nobody's asking for a kickback, you can do it quickly. And if you can trade quickly, what we've seen, at least when we entered the East African community, is as we removed some of the barriers and the bureaucracy, the turnover increases exponentially, because what you could do in a week, now you can do in 2 days. So you can make more money in a shorter time. So it benefits everyone, benefits you as an investor, but it also benefits us as a country. But the bottom line is we want your experience in Rwanda to be memorable, whatever you've come to do.
All right. So that is the basic business environment. I was wondering if anybody had any questions about this. So I think essentially what this video is trying to show everybody is that Rwanda has, one, removed a lot of barriers to coming in and starting a business and trading in the country, right? In a lot of African countries, corruption is a serious issue to deal with, right? So in Rwanda, because of, I guess, some stern leadership and a zero tolerance to corruption under the presidency of Paul Kagame, actually, interestingly enough, if you're found to be corrupt in Rwanda or you're convicted of a corruption charge, you're instantly thrown in jail for a period of 15 years. 15 years. So corruption is a serious thing that the government has stamped out and is unwilling to tolerate. So because of that, the business environment has changed a little bit. Also, some other things that you probably wouldn't know is some of the different policies enacted by the government are actually quite helpful on the health side and on the social side of things. So for example, in Rwanda, the electricity authority works on like a pay-by-credit system. So you buy how much electricity you would need for the month. So rather than getting billed for how much you've used, you actually go and buy how much electricity you think you need. And if there's a meter at your home, and if it's about to run out, the meter will tell you that your electricity amount is about, if you've used too much. So you go back to the authority and you buy electricity from them, right? Another thing that you probably wouldn't know is Rwanda has a mandatory fumigation system for malaria. So in the health sector, what they've done is every 2 years, they go to different neighborhoods, and neighborhoods are given an advance warning of 3 months, right? And you cannot say no to this. The government brings its fumigatory people, and they fumigate the houses. So this is across Kigali and in the countryside and everywhere. Kigali is the capital of Rwanda. So the government goes, and they make sure that each house gets fumigated, and they also distribute mosquito nets to try and prevent malaria. One of the issues post-genocide that came up in Rwanda was the drinking water and the sanity of the water, because a lot of bodies were found in the water sources, which contaminated it with blood, right, and seepage, right. And one of the things that the Rwandan government has done has been to try and educate its people on sanitation. So previously, there were about 60% of people did not know proper sanitation techniques, and currently that number is reducing. They're currently at about 30% of people who are not cognizant of proper sanitation techniques. So those are some of the social changes that the government of Rwanda has done to try and enact some change since 1994. So there's been a lot of progress, and it's by no way, shape, or form the finished article, but there's been a lot of progress and growth in Rwanda. And it's something that I think a lot of Rwandese can take pride in, right? So I was wondering if there's any questions in the room on some of the more specifics about the country, or anything that anybody's curious to know a bit more about?
So, one of the major issues you have media and telecommunications.
Yep. Oh, cool. All right, so the media and telecommunications industry. Oh, you should have been given one at the entrance. There's an extra one right here. Okay. So media and telecommunications, right? So for example, in the phone industry, right? What they've done is they've basically removed the monopoly that was previously there on like the phone system. So before, MTN had an 80% market share in Rwanda, right? Once the government removed the barriers to entry, right, and allowed for fair competition, right? Tigo came in, which is another phone company, and Airtel came into the company. And what that did was it lowered the prices of all the products and services, right, and made it really, really accessible. So for example, now if you want to go to Rwanda and get a SIM card, it costs you 50 cents to get a SIM card. You can easily get a SIM card, get a phone, and it's no longer difficult for people to communicate with telephones. I believe the networks, since there's 3 major networks in Rwanda, there's about 80% penetration in terms of people who have cell phones nowadays. So in the rural areas to the urban areas, lots and lots of people have access to phones, and the internet speeds are actually quite good. Rwanda was one of the first countries, actually in Africa, to be doing optic fiber. So, and that's the underground wiring of optic fiber cables, right? So that's one thing that has made internet speeds a lot faster in the country and a lot more efficient for people on a day-to-day basis with access to internet. Yeah?
But who's bringing in, Pokemon was bringing in wireless internet across the whole country. It's supposed to be across Kigali so far, but they're going to put it across the whole country. So anyway, you go to this wireless
Vision 2020, it's part of the
Vision
Vision 2020.
2020?
Where they bring like optic fiber and they update all the technology.
It's actually made things a lot better. Like in terms of like what you can do now versus before, it's night and day. Rwanda has made a big difference in its economic sector, so there's been a lot of progress in that regard. Although some people do argue that they're a bit too stern in their policies sometimes, a bit too aggressive. But I guess that's kind of informed by their past as well, because they went through a torrid time with the genocide, and because of that, the government has been very, very like strict with everything it's done since. And for some people, that is an issue, because some people view them as a bit authoritarian. But I guess the numbers, as they say, don't lie. So there has been a lot of growth. Is there something that somebody wanted to say? Yeah. Well, so far it's actually working pretty well, because I was actually discussing this with Ariel today, who was showing everybody the greetings, and she's a first-year solder student, and she came directly from Rwanda, and she was telling me how, in comparison to what it was before, malaria has almost been eradicated in a way, because they're consistently checking on it. So it's every 2 years, like I said, and they make sure that it's across the country, so it's not just like in the capital. They go to the countrysides and they make sure that that's sorted out. So in terms of the incidence of malaria now, it's very low compared to before. So, yeah.
I was wondering if you could speak to like what the job market is like and unemployment rates.
Well, okay, the job market in Rwanda it's not, what can I say, it's not perfect per se. The inflation has been contained. Unemployment is still relatively high, actually, for young-aged people. So we're looking at, what, ages 18 to 35, right? Unemployment is still relatively high. You're looking at the 30-35% range over there. So it's still pretty high for young people. But one thing that the government is trying to do is to sort of start more social programs to try and get the youth, I guess, out of, just despondence and actually doing something with themselves. Because, like, I remember there was one speech where Paul Kagame was speaking, and one thing he said was, you guys don't have to love each other, right? You don't have to be best friends with the person you're next to, but what you have to do is work towards the betterment of this country, right? So currently the government is trying to enact schemes to do that. I would want to go into more and more detail, but apparently there's another group that needs to make its way over here. So I think we've almost concluded the section, but to more of that, I can actually give you some more information as to what exact policies the government is enacting for the youth, right, in order for them to actually get jobs and reduce unemployment. So